Greetings, adventurers, and welcome back to the Den of the Drake. Other dragons hoard gold, while I hoard internet cringe. Despite my perpetual whining and trademarked brand of narcissism that's deluded me into thinking I'm funny, I desire nothing more than a world where we can all get along and play some D&D like the Founding Fathers intended. Well, except for Ben Franklin. He always played the worst kind of bard, the bald bastard. But my beef with long-dead historical figures aside, it's an unfortunate reality that conflict is an unavoidable part of being human. And just like every unavoidable reality of being human, it's found a way to f*** up our role-playing games. You see, I was exploring this tiny little subreddit called r/D&D. Maybe you've heard of it. And I found an interesting little flavor of post that reads, Table Disputes. I was shocked. Have Redditors finally become so brain dead that they cannot resolve conflicts with inanimate objects without help from the internet? I then proceeded to punch a hole into my table to assert my status as the alpha male. But then I went on and actually gave some of these posts a read, and it turns out that these are people asking for earnest advice on how to resolve in-game and out-of-game issues with their D&D games. And I just so happen to know a guy with a thing for handing out unsolicited advice and opinions on the internet. So I got to work. Right after I punched a second hole in my table just in case it thought I was sorry. Hope you all have insurance, because Dr. Drake is here to listen to and maybe even fix your D&D boo-boos by telling you to rub some dirt on it. After all, HIPAA can't stop me because I can't f***ing read. Man, they'll give anyone a medical license these days. Now prepare your bodies because we're about to dive into our first episode of Dungeon Doctor. Enjoy. Case number 1 comes from the unfortunately named Reddit user StickyLoner4404 and is titled Party Member is Straight Up Fleecing the DM. Hey all, I honestly feel like a buzzkill just for posting this, but whatever. Everybody at our table is an old hand at D&D except for this guy. The problem player, he's super new. Our DM is really laid back character-wise. Basically, his only rules are, know what your character can do and keep track of your shit. This is fine because, again, we're all familiar with the game. We're using 5e rules. Kind of. Problem player has been using 5.5 rules for his character for the entire campaign so far. This isn't actually a huge deal, it basically means he just deals more damage than he would otherwise, so whatever. The really annoying part is the fact that he doesn't track anything, and pretty much outright refuses to. If we end one session in the middle of combat, next session he's somehow regained all his spell slots, because he doesn't keep track of them. Occasionally he's liable to regain all his HP this way too. He somehow always has a healing potion on hand. He's always got mad gold on hand. I swear on multiple occasions we've seen him just re-roll his dice. When called out on it, he just goes, oh, that wasn't the real roll, that was a practice roll. Because he'll do it while the DM is still talking. I've called him out a few times. The DM has too, but his response is always something like, I get it, but it's just too funny. Or, it's just part of the bit by now that I've always got blank on hand. I can't stop now. The DM has basically stopped arguing with him about it. It's seriously driving me up the wall, and it feels unfair. How can I talk to him about playing by the rules without sounding like a huge buzzkill or fun ruiner? Officer, I can't stop selling crack in school parking lots. It's too funny. I always have some on hand. It's part of the bit. Yeah, this has been a problem ever since D&D 5.5 or D&D 2024 crashed and burned. Most of the community took one look at that steaming pile of sterilized made-by-committee sludge that was the new handbook and said, no thank you, and kept on using the 2014 version of the game. You'd think that this would be a happy ending, with all the world's gamers skipping into the sunset while Wizards of the Coast continues to burn money. But unfortunately, that was not the case. See, now we got a bunch of new players trying out D&D for the first time and finding themselves with two different versions of the game with the number 5 in the title. And unfortunately for the DMs of the world, the 2024 version does not play well with the other kids. Take one look at the new monk and you'll quickly understand why. Now, if this guy were just using the wrong set of rules, then I would say it's an easy mistake that I've seen plenty of people make and there's no harm done. But that, combined with everything else, yeah, this guy knows a lot more than he's letting on. Alright, here's my prescription. First, lose the whole idea that you may come off as a buzzkill for bringing this up. The buzz has already been killed because your enjoyment is being affected. That's like going to the cops and telling them that Jeffrey Dahmer is gonna kill someone. You're a bit late. There's nothing wrong with having a running bit involving your character, but a bit shouldn't give you a measurable advantage in-game. That's just cheating. First, I would tell you to go talk to the other players to see if they feel the same way as you do, and then talk to him outside of the game and let him know that his constant disregard for the rules is raining on your D&D parade. But since you've already done that, it's time to talk to the DM. Yeah, I know you said the DM is frozen in decision limbo because he's way too chill of a guy. But here's a line that will thaw him out real quick. Hey DM, you know how that guy cheats at literally every opportunity? Fix what's broken, or half the table is gonna start looking for new games. Got it? Good. Next! Case number 2 comes from Reddit user Iconic D&D Errant and is titled, "Are Backstories Important at All?" Hello, I hope you are having a good day or night. Sorry if the title sounds strange or something, of course I think backstories are important. But every time I play in a TTRPG, the DMs I notice simply don't take or use almost anything from the backstories they get from the PCs. At most, I have seen just how they'll say, yeah, the big bad evil guy was the mastermind behind all your backstory and all. Maybe it's just me, because I know that being a GM is a thankless job, putting together the story, the enemies, the world, etc., etc. But I'm getting frustrated that I will never get to explore the backstory of my characters. I even seek out one-on-one games and nothing. No matter how long or how little the backstories are, they simply don't matter. And I try to do backstories that fit the premise of our games. Lately, the backstories of almost all my characters are that they have a personal quest, but they are hanging out with the party for a while to get coin and eventually continue with their personal quest. Also, sorry for the rant. I don't want to attack the GMs. We are few and put a lot of work into the game, I know. I'm a GM myself and I try to make the stories about my players, and I haven't heard any complaints so far, but I just feel frustrated. Have any of you experienced this before? And if so, what have you done? Yes, I talk to my GMs, but it's like they simply don't care, at least the great majority. In any case, I wish for you to have a good day or night, and thanks for reading. Be safe. Well, this is one example of a simple question with a complicated answer that loops in on itself until it implodes into the simple answer of, it depends. I'm a big reader and a mediocre writer, so I go out of my way to encourage my players to write huge backstories that help me build the world as well as flesh out their own characters. It's fun for me to have my world building of my homebrew games be a collaborative project with my players, because it feels like I'm sharing a part of myself with people that I enjoy spending time with. But I am absolutely the exception to the rule. 99 out of 100 times, your backstory serves to explain why your character is a demented freak who has decided to give up the quiet life to start stabbing things with other demented freaks. And not much else. As a DM, your goal is to move the spotlight around on all your players equally. So everyone feels as if they are 1, able to participate in the role-playing part of the role-playing game, and 2, feel as if they are part of the world that the DM put so much time into creating. Putting a player's backstory front and center automatically places that player's character front and center, and opens the door for some potential dissatisfaction to sneak in regardless of the DM's intentions. Now, am I saying that you shouldn't incorporate your players' backstories into the plot? No, of course not. I do that shit all the time. If you thought that's what I was saying, smack yourself for being stupid. But what I am saying is that it's not uncommon for DMs to default to stories that have nothing to do with any of the players, simply because it's easier for them and they can focus on the actual game instead of ways to incorporate everyone's backstories into a game that may not be long enough to explore it. Especially since if you include one player's backstory, that means you gotta do it for everybody. Here's my prescription. Flip your mindset when writing your backstories. Instead of expecting the DM to serve your enjoyment with elements of your backstory, go into it with the expectation that your backstory serves your DM's world. Fill it with interesting places and people that you work with your DM to fit into the world they've made. Let your DM know that, while they absolutely do not have to, it would mean a lot to you if elements of your backstory made it into the game. If you give me a backstory that includes a dastardly rival for your character that fits into my lore, you can bet your ass that Chucklenuts is going to be showing up at some point to dunk on you and the rest of your demented friends. Ta-da! Dispute solved! That'll be $15,000. What? I said I don't hoard gold. I never said I don't stack them dollar bills, y'all.
I thought you said we were gonna be trying a new RPG tonight. I brought my new dice and everything.
Ah, come on, Larry, don't be stupid. You're not gonna need those.
This metal dice set cost me $50.
Too many times, Larry. Too many times have overly complicated rule sets and scheduling conflicts killed my campaigns before they even start. I refuse to carry around a book the size of the Old Testament just to have all my players cancel at the last minute again. I am this goddamn close to becoming a threat to myself and others. And if I have to go back to prison, I will burn the entire judicial system to the ground. So we're playing Enclave. Enclave is an innovative diceless RPG system that fixes all the headaches that plague most TTRPGs. Enclave follows an episodic structure where every session is a self-contained one-shot. Players are agents of an organization called the Enclave, which sits at the heart of the Manifold, a literal infinite expanse across both time and space. That means not only are your character options infinite, but your missions are too. I actually got to play Enclave with the cast of Dungeon Lunch Break, and we were a party consisting of a medieval mercenary, a Wild West gunslinger, a cyberpunk hacker, and Old Man Henderson, all raising hell in the belly of a pirate ship. It was awesome.
Okay, so what does the Enclave have us doing?
We're preventing the assassination of Abraham Lincoln.
Oh my god.
Quiet, Larry, here he comes. Oh, Mary, I just spent 4 years of my life kicking Confederates in the balls. The last thing I want to do is watch theater kids prance around on stage. Can't we do something fun?
Lincoln, darling, it's 1865. Having fun hasn't been invented yet.
Damn it!
You always do this, Drake. I'm just trying to have a quiet night of D&D, and the next thing I know, you have me out here messing with the timeline.
Ah, come on, that's Abraham Lincoln. Haven't you ever wondered what he would be like in 2025?
If you were alive in 2025, you would be 160 years old.
Oh, what, you got a problem hanging out with old people?
He would be dead, Drake.
Not if we have anything to say about it. Oh, crap, here comes our guy.
I'll teach you to make fun of theater kids, you bearded shit.
Quick, Larry, get him!
Ah, crap, what do I roll?
Larry, you dolt, I told you. Enclave is a diceless system.
Feel the wrath of my tiny pistol, you... Ow! Shit!
Huh. I guess you can use dice in Enclave. Enclave? Oh, that sounds so much better than theater. What the hell is it?
It's a new role-playing game that just hit Kickstarter that me and the dragon are shilling.
Ah, damn it! RPGs haven't been invented yet! How will I learn how to play? Ah, that's no problem, Mr. President. Enclave is super easy to learn, while also having tons of depth. When I played with the Dungeon Lunch Break crew, it took me less than 15 minutes to learn how to play and make a character. And I'm a total idiot. It's perfect because it's got a ton of content for the TTRPG veterans to sink their teeth into. And it teaches the fundamentals of role-playing to the newbies. Why don't you give it a try? See you around, Abe. Donate to Enclave on Kickstarter and invest in crypto. Mary, I think we just invented having fun. Enclave is live on Kickstarter. Use the link in my description to donate to the project today. No lie, Enclave was some of the most fun I've had playing an RPG in a long time. So be on the lookout for a Dungeon Lunch Break live play being published soon. But in the meantime, fund the project, because donating to independent creators is tight. Link is in the description. Case number 3 comes from Reddit user ZestyCloseSound9854 and is titled, I am being guilted for leaving immediately after session 0. My friend wants to run an online game. She's super passionate about running it and has been trying to rope me into the one she's starting. I wasn't really sold on the pitch, but I agreed to a session 0. We did it on Saturday, and I have zero passion for this campaign. It is so clearly not my thing. Characters are rolling for stats. I've literally never had a good experience with this. There are 5 players total. I prefer parties of 3 or 4. There's no clear vision for the story. It all feels vague and undefined. The party is a tabaxi, a robot-themed warforged, a fairy, and a homebrew ooze. There is absolutely no shame in this, but it feels more like an episode of Futurama than what I would want when I sit down to play D&D. There are other issues as well. The excessive amounts of character homebrew, some of the house rules, the anything goes style setting and play style, etc, etc. There's obviously no right way to run D&D, but I like grounded, classic, linear fantasy stories that focus on PC backstories. I like parties where each member has a cool niche and a unique bond with the others. She clearly wants to run a high fantasy open world sandbox campaign. Telling me that I should compromise doesn't make sense when this is just not my thing at all. Now I am being made to feel like a killjoy by the DM. It's so frustrating. To me, Session 0 worked exactly as intended. Well, yeah, that's Session 0 in a nutshell. As your friend, the DM should understand that it's not cool to try and force you to do something that you don't want to do. And frankly, there's nothing she can really do about it without tying you up and forcing you to roleplay with her and her friends. Which, unless you left out the part where you left a bunch of upside-down pineapples scattered around your house, that probably will not be a consensual exchange. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having preferences, whether it be dating or D&D or whatever the Here's a fun story. I got really into Warhammer and miniature painting during the pandemic. I can talk about Tyranids until the Great Devourer itself shows up and we chosen ascend into its loving embrace. So of course, when I first started the hobby, I had plans to get all my friends into it too so I could share the grimdark. Hey Amy, I love the way you play your half-orc character. Did you know that Warhammer has orcs in space? Hey Will, oh, you like the Gears of War chainsaw bayonets, right? Well, did you know that Space Marines have swords that are also chainsaws? God, Terry, you're a prick. You should play Eldar. And here we are 5 years later, and I am still the only one in my friend group who knows what an Astartes is. And for some magical reason, we're all still able to hang out together. Here's my prescription. Tell your friend that you value her and her time, and that while you realize that she is excited about this online D&D game, you and her want different things from your RPGs. Make it very clear that this isn't you saying that you don't want to spend time with her. In fact, you may want to even soften the blow a bit by offering up some ideas on things you'd want to do with her that you know you both will enjoy. If she's a friend that's worth keeping around, then she won't waste too much time being upset, because you've made it very clear that just because you don't place a lot of personal value in this specific type of D&D game does not mean you don't put value in time spent with her. And if she continues to be upset, well, maybe it's time she goes to a therapist to work out some of her own issues. I know a guy with 10 minutes of experience who's looking to take on new clients. Oh, speaking of new clients, next. Case number 4 comes from Reddit user opening reveal 2768 and is titled "BRAINROT has consumed my party." Every time I initiate an attack on my party, they all say, "Start digging in your butt, twin," in sync and laughing. One time it was so bad, I asked the bard what he wanted to do, and he said, "Walk up to the Thessal Hydra and tell him to start digging in his butt, twin." I was straight-faced, but the rest of the party was crying laughing. How do I get them to stop? Did I have a f***ing stroke? I mean, I know what all those words mean separately, but I'll be f***ed if I said I knew what they meant when you slap them together. Here's the hard reality of life as a DM. You could be trying to run the most grimdark and emotionally somber game of D&D imaginable. But if you didn't establish that from the very beginning, there is a damn near 100% chance that one or multiple of your players are going to be launching themselves straight at the dick, ass, or balls of your NPCs like they were heat-seeking missiles. Especially if your group consists of teenagers, which according to the comments, is the case here. Recurring memes or inside jokes are fine, but they can absolutely go too far to the point where they just become annoying. I got 2 different prescriptions for you. The first is the lame, boring, and probably the most effective one. Tell your players to quit with the butt stuff. It's annoying and it's interfering with your enjoyment of the game, and as the DM, you have a right to enjoy the game as well. If they refuse, well, time to find a new game. The second, and much more fun idea, was inspired by some people down in the comments section. Make a homebrew version of Elden Ring's Loathsome Dung Eater, an unapologetically evil character who is implied to rip people's souls out of their rectums. Have this demonic entity be summoned every time the eldritch incantation, "Start digging in your butt, twin," is uttered by mortals who do not realize the hidden magic in their words, and you might end up with players looking to do a lot less digging if you catch my meaning. Case number 5 comes from Reddit user Royfie and is titled "Players Interrupting Made Me Sad." You all know this story. There I was, running my little medium bad villain, and it was time for their big speech. The tragic backstory, the nefarious motives, you name it. Cue for my players to launch the full-on improv comedy hour. Interruptions, jokes, just generally not listening. Suddenly, the story I spent hours writing is background noise, as it felt like I'd lost control of the room. Not gonna lie, it hurt my feelings a little bit. So I tried this wild, untested experiment called using my words. I said, come on guys, I know you're all very funny, but this is a big part of my enjoyment. I put a lot of hours into this, and part of the payoff of DMing is these little moments where I get to share what's going on in the background of this crazy world we play in. Plus, it's important exposition. If you don't hear why people are doing things and what they have planned, you'll feel blindsided later when something you could have prevented goes wrong. Then, in the most shocking twist of all, the laughing calmly subsided. They said sorry, still giggling and having a good time. They listened, and we had a lot of fun. Apparently, you can just tell your friends how you feel and they'll respect that because we're all mature-ass adults. Truly, I recommend it to everyone. TLDR. Seriously guys, there's too many stories here that could be avoided by just being mature adults. In D&D, like in other pleasurable activities, calmly telling your partners what you like will always improve your experience. What the hell are you doing here? Dr. Drake's time is valuable, and I'm not gonna waste it seeing patients who have nothing wrong with them. Nah, but for real, I feel the players interrupting my big bad guy monologue with improv hour thing in my soul. But I wanted to include this one because it's a happy reality check for those of us who fall too deep into the RPG horror story rabbit hole. Do you really think there would be such a huge community with dozens upon dozens of YouTube channels dedicated to the hobby if every single game was destined to go down in flames and ruin your personal relationships? Of course not. We're socially inept, but we're not that bad. This is how most conflict in D&D games end up. Most people want what's best for everyone, and are willing to make concessions in order to achieve that goal. The kind of person who is willing to sit with the knowledge that someone at their D&D table is not having fun are few and far between indeed. And you shouldn't let negativity online make you afraid of picking up the hobby. Now get the hell out of my office, I got more patients to see. Our sixth and final case of the day comes to us from Reddit user OddConsideration259 and is titled DM Adds Performance Vote for Inspiration at the End of the Session. I just got home from a D&D session. As always, it's super fun with some bumps along the road, but that's not important right now. The DM announced a new thing. At the end of the session, everyone votes openly for the person they thought roleplayed/acted the best. The winner of the vote gains 1 inspiration. I see that it is to encourage role-playing more, but the general idea made my stomach turn. I don't like the idea of the session being a performance-based stage, especially when many players only pay attention when it's their own turn and unevenly distributed spotlight time. I already told my DM about my dislike in regards to the vote system, and that I'll exclude myself from future voting, if we are to keep the system. Today's vote was also a tie for 3 players, and the DM didn't count his vote because, quote, it would have been unfair. Then only 1 of them would have gotten the inspiration token instead of 3. That alone tells me that he himself is not very clean with the idea of the system he set up. I did suggest that inspiration could be handed out for honorable/smart/emotional play during the session, like rewarding wow moments as they happen. I'm reaching out here to ask someone if you have had a performance vote like that at their table, how it turned out, or how you encourage players to gain inspiration or to roleplay more actively. TLDR. DM now makes party openly vote for the best actor at the end of the session, and I wonder what your thoughts/experiences on inspiration gaining systems like that are. Edits to the OG post. I've collected some insights and really nice alternatives which I have proposed to my DM. I'll also talk about the problem of disruptive private conversations next time we meet, and ask the DM for assistance to pull back the players into the game when they stray too far. Note, this is not about the price or result of the vote, but the fact that the vote is restricted to be given to 1 player when I think that everyone had their cool moments. I'd much rather have a debrief where the table talks about 1 highlight of each character. Thank you for everyone who shared their experiences and systems, and it helped me greatly. Update. My DM got back to me and told me that he too wasn't happy with how the rating thing went down, and there will definitely be some changes to it or the mechanic will be dropped. To my other concerns about it, he confessed that he didn't notice too much and will look out for it the next time we play. Ooh, yeah, this one's a toughie. because I actually don't hate this idea, but if I squint real hard I can see where OP has a problem with it. But then again, I've had stuff like this blow up in my face before. There was a time where all my D&D games ended with a discussion which included what I, the DM, and each of the players did well and what we could have done better. Now, I come from a marketing and design background, which are two environments where critique is as constant as it is necessary. So it's safe to say that I've gotten pretty comfortable with giving and receiving criticism. But I made the mistake of assuming that everyone takes it as casually as I do. And a game of D&D is not usually the time or place, because the goal there is to have fun. Me, being the dumbass I am, forgot how that's supposed to work, and our little critique sessions ended up being detrimental to that goal of having fun. That little disclaimer out of the way, my prescription is a fat dose of taking a big step back. This isn't some sort of toxic way of pitting players against each other or even a critique of their role-playing abilities. This is offering an incentive for the players to praise each other and point out cool moments. If your table has a habit of not paying attention when they're not in the spotlight, that's a problem that needs to be addressed with the DM and the players themselves. And ironically, this rule may even be a way to fix that. It's only toxic if you make it toxic. And frankly, I wouldn't want to play with a D&D group that includes people who get upset when people other than themselves are given praise. Personally, I have no problems with using competition as incentive, but I don't even see this as a competition. It feels like we're so wrapped up in concerns about hurting other people's feelings that we've completely closed ourselves off to opportunities to give meaningful praise. It's a dumb idea to believe that every time someone is given something good, it needs to come at the expense of another. It's the participation trophy thing all over again. It comes from a good place, but the end result is a scenario where no one is allowed to feel good about anything, and all that's allowed to exist is a gray, formless sludge of mediocrity. But you know what's neither gray, formless, nor mediocre? Fan art of me! That's right, we got a fan art submission this week. So how about we go ahead and take a look at this week's Gallery of the Drake. This week's fan art comes from viewer Just Kinda Mid and depicts the Drake embracing the waifu life. You know, ever since the channel partnered with GamerSupps, link in the description, use code Drake at checkout, I've been plotting on what a Den of the Drake waifu cup and GamerSupps flavor would look like. And this is what the community collectively agreed would be the best fit. Now I'm leaning towards the name I Can Fix Her, but we're still workshopping it.
Yeah, baby! Lot of that tax return, Larry. We got a lot more campaigning to do.
We've been driving around shooting guns in the air for 9 hours. There's gotta be an easier way to get you a GamerSupps flavor.
It's the gamer way, Larry. We just gotta campaign louder. Now hand me another magazine. I'm empty.
Thank you again, Just Kinda Mid, for submitting your art. And special thanks to Stephanie Plays Games and Night Gobi for lending their voices to Waifu Drake and Waifu Larry. If you want to see your fan art featured in Gallery of the Drake, be sure to send it to the email in my About section, or upload it to the official Den of the Drake subreddit linked in the description. Fan art is my favorite part of doing YouTube, and it means the world to me that I can inspire artists like you to create artwork like this. Stories over and artwork displayed, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and send in your fan art. And if you feel like supporting the channel further, my Patreon, merchandise, and GamerSupps affiliate links are in the description. I would like to thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you next time in the Den of the Drake.
Teehee, I'm a Fae of the Wild. Here's a list I've compiled. You may watch Drake for free, cause patrons give us their money. Patrons like Mr. Sage, Tracor, Karam Archivals, Cam the Badger, Bro Taser Tot, Soul Taker 666212, Gobshite, Nerito Bell, Curastor, Miramotal, and Matthew Mulqueenie. Hee hee ho ho, gigapods make me rich, even though I'm a—
Hey man, was that last line really necessary? Being a whimsical fairy creature already sucks without being forced to read garbage like this.
Hey, if you're still here, YouTube thinks you would like this video. I mean, I like that video. I'm the one who made it.